Hard hat. There we go. We are live. It says this hangout is on the air. Welcome, everybody. It is April 23rd, and this is the Motivation Manifesto Mastermind discussion with Bob Miller and David, whose last name I don't know how to pronounce, Patrick?
Patrick,
and anyone else who wants to join us, let me know. We have some more people out there. There's Chris. So let me see if I can get her over. Chris, I'm trying to bring you across. Otherwise, you can just click the link in the chat. That seems to be working for everybody. Patrick, ditto, same thing. Chris appears to be on her way. So here we go. We're going to manifest love today. Is that what we're going to do? We are live. It says this hangout is on the air. Welcome, everybody. It is April 23rd. Two versions of Motivation Manifesto Mastermind discussion with Bob Miller and David, whose last name I don't know how to pronounce. Patrick? Somebody's got two of these open. Two windows.
Not me.
not me.
And
One
We
open.
lost David.
David.
He went and hid.
If
David.
David came in on that link in the chat room, he's probably the one that had it open.
And Patrick is still out there. David says it says he's here, but I don't see him.
He was here a second ago. Maybe he went to go turn off the other link or something.
Well, it
Maybe he
says
turned off the wrong one.
It's not echoing right now. Now I think we're fine.
no, but what's curious is that David is not here on the screen, but he's here in the attendee list.
Maybe he got knocked out like I always get knocked out. I get knocked out of the other one. It said my computer went to sleep. I thought it was me. I thought it was me going to sleep.
You wished you could go to sleep, right?
Here is David coming back.
Yeah, we need David. He keeps us going.
I'm back.
Yay.
See that? So, did you come back by clicking the link in the chat?
I clicked the link in the chat, and then I closed out the window I had before because somehow it put me in like a YouTube type of format, Hangout format, and so I didn't know how to respond to that. So, and obviously you didn't see me,
No, we couldn't see you.
Nope, you were gone.
so I just started over again.
And here you are.
Yeah.
I'm just loving this. I get to hang out with guys and guys and guys.
And usually on Facebook,
What do you think about that, Chris?
it's girls.
You loving it?
I'm loving it.
Well, that happens to be the chapter we're on, right?
I know. We're amplifying love all over me.
All right.
Just a great chapter.
So who wants to get started for that?
I actually posted something, a quote there from him today. It's on page. There's a few pages off the front one, but it says, "Love is incapable of diminishment, except in our own mind." And basically, what he's saying is that love is always there. We might feel like we lose love, and we might feel that it escapes us, but love never goes away. Love is always there. This whole chapter is based on the premise that love is always there, whether we acknowledge it or not. It's always there. And that's the beauty of it. It never leaves us. We might not see it.
When it comes right down to it, love is all there is.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, there's been songs written about it.
A few songs. Yes, there's been a couple of songs. A few of them even made it to the top of the charts.
Love is all there is. Do, 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 do. That's because it was the Beatles and it made it to the front.
That's right. But it's like a river. I mean, it's always flowing. Love is always flowing. We may choose to look away from the river, we may say, well, we're not in the river, but the river's flowing. The river's always going all the time, so it's there. We just have to acknowledge it and accept it and be part of it. Yeah, but love is always there. It never leaves us. We might leave love, but love doesn't leave us.
You want to hear my cliff note?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cliff note. Here it comes. We shall amplify love. We are not transmitting or receiving love as we were divinely intended to. We are filtering love rather than feeling it. We fell for the prevailing hysteria that said, protect your heart, and we began to believe that love itself had enemies and needed protecting. When we were hurt, we felt that love was somehow diminished or damaged. But hurt has nothing to do with love, and love is unaffected by pain. Ego was hurt, not love. Love is divine. It is everywhere, ever present, and abundant and free. It is the spiritual energy that is, at this very moment, flowing through the universe, through us, through our enemies, through our families, through billions of souls. It was never absent from our lives. It is not bound in our hearts or in our relationships, and thus is not capable of being owned or lost. We have allowed our awareness of love to diminish. That is all. And in doing so, we have caused our own suffering. We must mature and realize that freeing our mind of ancient hurts and opening once more to love shall give us access to divine strength. To stand emotionally open before the world and give our hearts without fear of hurt or demand of reciprocity, this is the ultimate act of human courage.
Very nice.
That is the cliff note on We Shall Amplify Love.
I do love your cliff notes.
So there you have the essence right there. So it's all about courage.
Yeah, but it's all about always being there. It's always there.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to us to acknowledge it.
If it's always there, what causes us to not feel it sometimes?
I think we just look away from it. It's just like the river that's always flowing. We may not look at the river. We may look away from it, but it's always flowing. Always there.
I used to. My marriages, both of them have been. I'm a very giving person, and I used to think of love as a well, and you give and you give and you give, and pretty soon the well's empty, and you have no more to give to that person, and that's when I shut down.
Well, maybe to a particular person, maybe because you're not receiving anything back. That's what's happening in that particular relationship.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because that's how I was normally. I would give and give and give to the point where that I would give out of my commitment, and in the process, I would be feeling the pain because I didn't feel like I was basically burning out. And so what I realized that what I need to do is I need to receive. As I go through the giving, I need to also receive. So it's a giving and receiving. It's the receiving that allows you to replenish the loving again, so that you have the overflowing to give. So it's
Right.
good to have a nice giving heart, but you also have to take the time to receive. Receive from from those who you're giving, receive from yourself, that type of thing. Does that help, Chris?
Yeah.
And because it's the receiving muscle, like for example, I was at a meeting where I actually created an acronym called SECRET, and I don't need to go through the whole acronym, but what I did is the following meeting I came back and I started to go through the acronym, and they all said, well, where's the R in sacred? And so what happened is that R was for receiving. Clearly, I blacked that out of from in my human being in myself, not to receive, and now we have a joke line, you got don't lose your R in sacred, which is the receiving.
That's awesome. So you subconsciously did that.
Subconsciously did it, and we laughed, hysterically, because I was authentically, and then I spelled it out, and here's S is this, and A is this, and C is this, and I just completely forgot about R, and then went to the next one, and R was receiving. It's clearly that's what was important for me to get across.
You were trying to keep the R a secret, weren't you?
I guess so.
David Seekits, his Seekits. No, it's a give and take, but with love, with love like anything. I mean, if we give 100% of love to say a particular relationship, if we give 100%, if everybody gives 100%, but usually people say it's a 50-50 deal. But if you give 100%, if you don't get anything in return, well, then it's probably not the relationship for you to be in. But we should always strive to give 100%. I think we should try to keep. It's like a fire burning. You got to keep putting logs in a fire to keep it burning. If we stop putting logs in, and at some point, if you got two people, somebody's going to get tired. They're going to fall asleep. The other person has to put logs in a fire. So it's got to be a two-way street. But we should all strive to be 100%. We should all strive to put it in all the time, always.
Well, and a way to do that is by asking the question, like, whatever the situation is, how does this situation look like when it comes from love? And so, whatever the experience that you run into, because if you come back and answer that question, you're going to come from that place, that loving place, and that could be for business or for personal as well. So, if you're faced with some financial troubles, okay, that's great. But how does the situation look like from love? So you come up with an answer. Okay, it's not about the situation. It's not about the external. It's about my internal being and how I need to embrace love for myself. And then I need to encourage myself to take the courage to love myself, to take care of myself, to have the self-care in this situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's still not going to give you any money.
No, it's not, but I think it's important for us to get in touch with our emotions. Like, for example, my experience is that I lose track of my emotions. I really want to, and because I get it caught up in the head, not in the heart. So I need to stay in the true to the heart, because that's why I meditate. That's why I meditate in the morning, as I get to my true self. And when I get to my true self, then I'm able to be from this tranquil power place, this place where as a loving, this being connected to the universal spirit, and then from that true self, I'm able to make those right choices, the powerful choices in my life, and what I'm doing every day. And I think that's what's empowering about it. And I think this is what this chapter is all about: is amplifying that power, and amplifying and allow it to encourage you to move forward in your life and in your becoming.
And realize that it never leaves us. I mean, he hammers that same message over and over and over this chapter. It's like you said, Len, where does it go if we don't feel it? On page 192, he says, love was never absent from our life. Love didn't leave us. It didn't go anywhere. It was never less present for us to access or experience. It was and continues to be present all around us. We simply allowed awareness of it to diminish. So it's always there. It's just that, and that's the same message he just puts in his whole chapter. It's always there. Love is there. We just have to tap into it.
So what page are you on, Bob?
That's on page 192, David. Under True Divinity.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the bottom of the page, right there. But it's, for me, it just I get the same message almost in every paragraph. It's just that love is always there. It's just for us to acknowledge it. You know, depending upon your spiritual beliefs, if you believe in a God, sometimes we don't feel like we're connected to God. If you do believe in God, which I do, but God never. If you do believe in God, God never leaves. He's never gone. He might not be in your heart because you're not looking at God. You might not be experiencing or feeling God because you're on something else. But God never goes away. You know, the stars never go away. We might not be looking at the stars. We might be in the house all day long, but the stars are still there. The river still flows. Those things are always there. It's just for us to tap into them. And that's what I think the central message is, just the realization that it's always there, and it's up to us. If it is to be, it is up to me.
Well, God is love.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so.
He's also energy, and so are we.
I believe so, too. Yeah.
Well, everything's energy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked down in a sort of almost darkened room, or a tile floor with those little bitty tiles, and you can see the energy going back and forth in little lines, just rapid, moving.
Those are ants, Chris.
No, they weren't ants, I promise. If I look at night and look at trees, big trees, if you squint just a little bit, you can see the aura of the trees.
Wow.
It's just the energy coming off of it.
Yeah. Well, you can feel energy from people. When somebody walks into a room, you can sense, you can feel their energy.
Yes.
You felt that, like somebody walk into a place and it's like kind of like lackluster. Then somebody like Larry walks in a room, you go, whoa, yeah, and it just like lifts the energy right up and just goes, whoa, you know. There are people that they bring their energy with them, and Brennan talks about that. This whole book, he talks about that, about the presence, about your energy, bringing it wherever you go to, just bring that energy with you, your presence. And love is just love is probably the biggest of all, or the most powerful of all energy. It's always there. Even if we're not a real big energetic or very big present person, we can always still share love. That's one thing we can do all the time. Hey, there's two Davids talking about presence.
Two Davids.
Talking about
David.
That's the aura you're talking about, Chris.
Yeah, one kind of blanked out on me, so I had to reload.
I've never tried to look at an aura through the website.
So I'm struggling with something that I don't quite understand.
Okay.
We opened this in the beginning. We talked about giving love to someone and getting drained. I think you talked about that, David. Am I right?
Getting drained, Len, you said?
Yeah. Because we weren't getting anything back. Is that really love that we're drained of? Is that really love that we're giving if we feel drained because we're not getting anything back from the other person? And I don't know the answer. It's a rhetorical question.
Well, I think it's energy that's drained.
I mean, if love is all around us, if we can't ever get rid of it, if it's always there, it's always present, then we can't be drained of it. So what is it that we're actually drained of?
You're probably right, David, energy. But it feels like when you're giving and giving and giving, you're giving out of love.
Well, I think what's happening is, in reality, is that we get out of resonance. we're no longer attuned to the love that we have, that we're giving, and that's why we feel drained. It feels harder to give because we're not at that higher frequency anymore. Our frequency, you know what I mean? Our frequency lowers, so we need to build up our frequency again, and raise our attitude, raise our frequency, get our gratitude back in play, and by doing so, then we're going to have that resonance again. We're going to resonate or get aligned with who we are, and along with how we can really be of service.
I say the high flying disc,
So,
as hand talks.
There you go, Chris. Yeah, high flying disc.
so what happens in a relationship between two people when they go to the altar and say I do, and kissy huggy, and everyone's madly in love, and 3 years later they're in a divorce court screaming at each other? What really has happened? Has love gone?
I think somebody stopped putting the logs on a fire. One person they both probably stopped putting the logs on a fire. If both people are committed to putting logs on a fire, it won't go out.
I think I don't know. I don't have the answer.
You know what? To keep it going, I think people have to work at it. People stop wanting to work at it.
Yeah, put the logs on a fire.
Yeah.
I've been married for over 25 years, so.
Well, you're one of the lucky few.
And so, then things do come up, and you do get when you get in this close proximity with someone, you end up really knowing them, and you know that both are good and the bad, and you could focus on the bad and make it a problem, or you could focus on the good. So it's a matter of forgiving yourself for judging, and moving on, get off of it, and stay into loving.
And sometimes people change. Sometimes people they change, and it's just it's like you're playing catch with somebody. If I'm going to play catch with Len, and I'm throwing a ball to Len, and he doesn't catch it, he doesn't throw it back. Eventually, you stop playing catch with that person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes outgrow each other. Go in different directions.
Yeah, that could happen too. There's probably millions of reasons why things like that happen. But if you're really committed to keep it going, you can. If everybody keeps, if you work at it, if you really work at it, you can keep it going. But you need a communication too. I was married for 33 years, and it got down to the point. It was after I had the stroke in 2006. Then, about 3 years later, it just, for me, it was a matter of intimacy. My wife no longer wanted to be intimate with me, and she just came down to a point of just touching and hugging. I wanted contact with my wife. I wanted to touch her. I wanted to hold her. Because I loved her, and she no longer wanted to do that. And so I said, well, let's talk about it. And she said, I don't want to talk about it. So the response every single time I said, let's talk about it, was, I don't want to talk about it. So that was like me. I'm trying to play catch. I'm throwing her the ball, and the ball would bounce off her face and fall on the ground. There was no return. Now, she was a good woman. She would do great things around the house, but there was one big issue, one big thing, which was a big thing for me. That's a big thing to touch your partner, somebody that you've been with for 33 years. You want to stay intimate, and if one person doesn't want to, it was like, well, that was the end game right there. And after going through a couple of years of trying to talk about it, and they don't want to talk about it, I don't know what else I could do at that point.
Excuse me, Bob. Are you talking about me? You just told my story.
You talking to me?
You talking to me? You just told my story.
Is that what happened? Is that what happened to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not me, and with somebody else.
Yeah, that happens.
Well, and the other thing I think is that ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what happens is the ego gets in the way, and as was it Wayne Dyer says, ego is edging God out. And if God is love, and ego comes into play, then if we, people have an ego, they see something wrong with the other, and then they can't let it go, and it gets more infuriating as things go on. That the small stuff turns to big stuff, and then that now becomes a relationship breaker. You know what I mean? So I think ego has something big. So sometimes, I mean, the ego's not something it's bad. Egos can be good, but you got to be careful not to allow ego to take hold. And I think we talked about that earlier in the book too, about ego, on how that can be very, very harmful, to allow the ego to have reign. You still need to have reign, and this, to hold onto the lightsaber, and like you said, the lightsaber. Remember that time, Bob? We were talking about the lightsaber when we were fighting the demons.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
May the force be with us.
Yeah.
In the case of what Bob's talking about, and Larry, I don't see that as an ego issue.
no.
There's a fundamental need that isn't being met.
Okay.
But you're right. Ego is one of the things that really gets in the way a lot.
That could get in the way.
Yeah, but that is a fundamental need. In my situation, I remember talking to a friend of mine that a really guy my age, and actually brought me into Toastmasters, and I mentioned to him, but as I was going through this for a couple of years, I kept internalizing this problem that I was having, with no communication. I remember talking to him about it, and he was my age, and he said he doesn't have any intimacy with his wife, and everything's fine. He was fine with it. His wife was fine with it. For him, it wasn't a need. It wasn't a big thing. It was like, okay, well then, if in that case, if neither one wants it, neither one needs it, there's not a problem. Then they can just be happy as a lark. Me, I wasn't ready to hang it up. I wasn't ready to say, okay, that part of my life is over, because I still wanted intimacy. I still want touch. I still want human contact. And for the person that I was in love with, that I was married to, told me that this no longer be part of my life. I couldn't deal with that. That was something that I couldn't accept.
Don't worry about it, buddy. I'll touch you.
Touch someone.
Yeah, I mean,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
if there's no intimacy, why even have the relationship? I mean, you can hire a maid. I can hire a cook.
Yeah, I mean, like my friend's case, they're fine with that. They're totally fine going through life like that, and I think it's totally okay if two people want that. That's whatever, But if one person wants to be intimate and the other person doesn't want to be intimate, there's a problem. Then the other person should at least try to meet the other one's needs somehow, in some fashion. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert at that. I just couldn't understand why there was no communication. I said, well, let's talk about it. And then the response was, I don't want to talk about it. Well, I guess then there was no talking about it. You can't force somebody to talk about it. So.
Well, and you also got to realize that there are many different loves, right? There's you can have the love that's with the closest relationship, but you could have love of your family, or a love of your fellow man. I mean,
right.
there's all these different levels of love.
Right.
So you need to identify what level of love that you want in that relationship.
Yeah, like we just said, love doesn't leave. Love is still there. I think she still loved me. I still loved her. I still love her. I'll never unlove her. But that, as far as the context of that relationship was gone. But love itself never left. That relationship expired. It's like it's like a candle burned down, ran out of wax. It ended, But the loves will stay. I will never unlove the woman. She was the mother of my 3 children. I'll never unlove her. The relationship ended, but sometimes things have a shelf life, and that was the shelf life of that particular relationship.
Yeah, the relationship ended.
Yeah, right. The love is still there. but the relationship ended, and that's that happens sometimes. There's no animosity or anything. There's no animosity on my end of it. It is what it is.
And love is eternal. So I mean, and it's omnipresent. So you can love someone, you know, whatever location that.
Absolutely, and like who said it? Would Larry say, or did you say it, Lynn? You said, well, it could be something else. It could be the family. Love could be anything. Love, you just direct your loves elsewhere. You don't have just because a relationship doesn't break up doesn't mean that love has left you. Love is it's all around. We can love our animals. We can love the or we see that Chris sees in the trees. Love goes everywhere. Love is everywhere. It might end within a relationship. The relationship might expire, but the love is never going to go away. Just direct it somewhere else. Just give love. You got to get more when you give, like anything else. You got to get more when you give. You will receive when you give. And if one person is not throwing it back, so what? Go give it somewhere else. It's there. It never goes away.
Did you say not always, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
What did she say?
I said it doesn't always get returned when you give.
Well, it will. So it'll just give it somewhere else. If you try to play catch with somebody who's not going to throw it back, then stop playing catch with that person. Give it somewhere else. Give it someplace. Somebody needs it. Somebody deserves. Love never ends.
In the code, Larry Hockman pointed out that giving and receiving are always in balance, but you may be giving to person A and receiving from person B. You're not necessarily.
Right, I agree.
Person.
Right.
But
right.
In the final analysis, it has to be in balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and what occurs to me is that the three selves are involved here. There's the high self, right? There's the conscious self, and then there's the basic self. I mean, that's what you're basically saying. Maybe their basic self needs, like being touched, are not being received, but it doesn't mean that you can't still serve the other two selves that you have, right? There's
choose. Yeah, you could if you choose.
Yeah, I guess.
If that's how you want to live your life. If you like eating a certain food, and then all of a sudden they say you can't, we're not going to allow you to eat this food anymore. But you can physically still eat it, but somebody says you can't. It's like, are you going to accept that? If you're going to accept they say you can't have your favorite food anymore, and you're physically able to, would you do it just because they say you can't, or would you still do it? And if somebody withholds intimacy from someone, it's like, well, why? I think in that case you deserves at least an explanation, at least a discussion, a communication, to say, okay, why? Am I that gross to you? Am I physically that such a turnoff? If that's the case, then if you can accept living with somebody without it, that's fine. And sometimes some people just no longer want that part of life. They get a little older. It's just not a need for them anymore. It's just
I
not.
understand.
It happens.
Well, the other thing I think that we need to be aware of is that, especially with business, is we need to speak from our heart, and when we speak from the heart, that means we're speaking from that source of love. And when you do, we're able to make connection with people. And when we get caught up in our head, or when I get caught up in my head, I lose connection. So I think that if we want to stay connected with others and be able to have influence and impact, we need to stay in connection with that love energy, speaking from the heart, and speaking from our experience.
Yep, it's always there. We can always tap into it. That's just the central message I get, is that it's always there. You can always give it, and there's somebody will always receive, and you always will receive it from someplace else. Like Glenn said, that he pointed out what Larry Hockman said. it's in balance. And you may not receive it from some particular person, but it'll work out. It'll all work out. And some people get bitter and they'll say, well, because they had some bad relationships, now they're going to withhold it. They're going to think that they're going to withhold love, but you're only hurting yourself if you don't do that.
That's true.
Well, I think in the context of what Richard is bringing here is that, you know, we want to still stay on the path of ascension versus aversion. So when we stay in connected with love, we stay connected with the divine, we're ascending to becoming better than ourselves, the people that we want to become that greater person, that greatness, that leader, or whoever that may be for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what's really important, is to always stay on the path of ascension.
Right. Yep. Just keep growing and improving. Just keep giving.
And that's where joy is.
I agree. Yep. I don't think it does anybody good to withhold anything. Always be a giver, and you will receive. The balance.
It's been so long since I felt any joy, except for when I'm with my granddaughter,
Really?
that I wouldn't know what hit me.
Why do you say that?
There's no joy around me.
Well, I get joy from you being in all these webinars. I get joy from seeing you around, listening to your comments about things. I receive joy from you.
Well, and that's true. So I can't say that. I really enjoy being on the webinars with you guys.
There you go. So
That's joy. You're right.
There's joy. I seen a great. Did anybody ever see the movie Into the Wild? It's about a true life story about a guy who was 23 years old. He wanted to leave the world. He gave up all of his possessions. He had money, and he went to go live in Alaska. Anybody ever see that one?
You know, I vaguely remember the movie, but it's been so long I don't remember it.
I have it, but it's been so long I forgot it.
Yeah, that's what we should do. We should have movie night.
Here we go. Great movie. I saw Debbie turned me on to it the other night, and I watched it. It's a very, very interesting movie. The guy is a really young, dynamic guy, and he went all around the country doing things. Like he was working in a grain field, doing grain. He drafted down the Colorado River. He lived in like a hippie commune. He went all over the place, and his whole dream was to go to Alaska and just commune with the wild. And he wanted just to get away from society, get away from people, and just be happy and free and joyful out in the wilderness. And he did. He made it up there, and he actually stayed he found a bus, an abandoned bus up there. They call it his magic bus. He stayed there for about 8 weeks, and he kept a diary. He kept writing things down in his diary about his experiences. And then on the way back, he tried to come back, and the river was too high. He couldn't get across the river, so he went back to the bus. And then he ran out of food, so he ate some plants, some plants that turned out to be poisonous. And make a long story short, the guy never made it back. He died. But at the very end, in his diary, he was saying, joy, true happiness, actually comes from when you share it with somebody else. And that's the message that people were trying to tell him all the way getting there. Before going there, he was enjoying people, but he was saying that he wanted to go somewhere by himself because that's where joy would be, by himself. And the message people kept telling him is that joy is with other people. So at the very end, he wrote down, joy is sharing. Love is sharing with other people. He realized that, but it was at the very end of his life when there was nobody to share his joy with.
I thought maybe you were going to tell me he got eaten by a bear.
I thought he was. I actually thought he was. I kept saying it to Debbie. I thought, when's the bear going to come? At one point, a grizzly bear did come up to him, but he just kind of scared at the bear, and the bear didn't eat him. But yeah, I mean, it was a very profound movie with a lot of deep meaning, a lot of message about love. The whole thing was about love, and he was a loving fella, but he didn't think that he didn't see the love within people. He seen the love in being by himself, even though he was a very likable, lovable person. And at the very end, he realized that love is between other people, just like we're being here. Like if Len was doing his webinar by himself, it wouldn't be that much fun. He'd be sitting here looking at himself on the screen, but yet he's sharing with David, Larry, Chris, myself, and if anybody else is like watching this. You need other people, basically. You need to have other people. Like Len had his birthday. He came up here last week, and we had a little birthday barbecue for him. And it was fun to share that. Life is about sharing. It is. It's about sharing with other people, and love, that whole love thing. There
was another movie that was very profound with Don Hanks, and I can't remember what the beginning of it is, but it's him versus the volcano.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that one. That was a great. Yeah, he did some great movies.
Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Tom, it was something versus the volcano.
Yeah, I saw that one.
That's got a lot of hidden good messages in it too.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
What's the other one? What's the one, the shipwreck one? That was a great movie. When he was the airplane. He was flying a Federal Express, and he landed on the island. What was that?
Marooned or survived or something.
Yeah. That was a great movie.
I don't know what the name of it was.
And he's with the who was his buddy, the tennis ball? What was his name?
It was a soccer ball, Wilson.
Wilson. Wilson. That was a great movie. Yeah, a lot of good messages.
So, on page 200, this last paragraph is really important. That we should at least maybe cap it off with that. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay, today, like all days of our lives, we have choices to make about what kinds of persons we'll be and how we interact with the world. We can meet others with no intention or care, or we can meet them with disregard and bitterness, or we can meet them with profoundly loving intent and fire, a full and vibrant energy that reminds them once more of the spectacular abundance of love and divinity in the world. Which choice we make will determine the quality of our lives, the depth of our relationships, and the hope of our human family.
Yep, it's a choice, isn't it? It
Comes down to choice.
It's all about a
We
choice.
talked about that before.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
right above, the very sentence right above that is, thinking is not love, giving is. And I put a big asterisk next to that sentence and highlighted it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I highlighted that whole page right there. It's
Love is a verb.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also a noun, but it's a verb. We have to love.
Action.
And give love.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing chapter. Probably my favorite chapter. I mean, they're all. I don't know. They're all like my favorite chapter. This great book altogether. Just a wonderful book. I'm so happy that we've gone through this. We're down to the last two chapters here. Next week is Declaration 8. We shall inspire greatness. That sounds like a great one that I'll happy to read again and listen to his audios. Great book. So are we ready to wrap it up then for today, guys and gals?
I'm good.
What was that, Len?
I said I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. And we'll look forward to David's clip notes next week.
Right. He'll inspire us all to greatness next week.
Well, it always gets a response out of me one way or the other.
Right. I love the fact that I didn't get knocked out of this webinar, so that's pretty cool. That's 2 weeks.
That's huge progress.
And the last one, my computer fell asleep, so I don't know what happened there.
Your new name is BB for Bouncing Bob.
That's right. Loving it, man. I'm loving it. Okay,
I took the time to write cliff notes for each one of these chapters at one time. That's what I'm reading from. Something I produced a long time ago
Aha.
as a reminder. So pretty cool.
Well, no matter where they were produced. And I want everybody to go out in the early evening and look at a big tree and just sort of squint a little bit and see if you can see the aura around the trees.
I got one right out my window. I'm looking at it. I'll look at it later on tonight.
Hug a tree.
Yep.
You don't have to hug it, but you can see its vibration.
Go hug a tree, Bob.
Love it. Oh, love the tree.
Let me know if you see the aura.
You gotta watch out for the ants when you're hugging that tree. Little ants might just come and get into your clothing.
Getting too.
Okay, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All righty.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Bye for now.
Have a great day. Bye bye.